Hey there, it's Mitzi. Welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to share a mid-month check-in because last month it was just too overwhelming for me to share all those books in one sitting. So I decided for the month of June, I'm going to kind of pace myself. Maybe every couple of weeks, maybe every week I'll share something. I'm not sure. It depends on how time goes. But I decided I would stop here and talk to you about the books I've already read, because I've actually read several books already in June. Now I am participating in the ANCIENTSATHON and the Summer Book Bingo, and I'll leave links to those announcement videos in case you want to join us. And those are my priorities, so I've already started reading for those. But then I had some other things, some buddy reads and things that I want to do this month as well. So here we go. The first thing I read was called The Lilies of the Field by William Barrett. Now this was just on a whim. I picked this book up. It's a slim little book. I actually thought it must be like a short story novella, but it is described as a novel, but it's like a little over 100 pages. It was great, and it was perfect for, to me, it was perfect for the summer because it feels hot and dry sort of feel to it. It's about this ex-GI who is traveling in his station wagon, sort of living out of the back of his station wagon through the United States, and he comes upon these nuns out in the middle of nowhere who are building this fence, and they're having a little trouble with it. So he stops and he helps them. Well, he ends up staying, and one of the nuns pulls out this drawing on a napkin, I think it is, and it's a chapel. She decides that God, she's been praying for someone to build the chapel, and she has decided that God has sent this man, I think his name's Homer. Is that his name? Homer. Has sent Homer to build this chapel. Well, he is not convinced that he is the man to do this, but he stays because he just is drawn to these nuns, and they're, especially the other nuns, they're friendly to him, and he really likes spending time with them. So he starts helping them, and he's not sure why he's helping, but he does. It's just a great story. Again, it's super short, and one sitting you could read the whole thing. But it's a great story about faith and friendship and determination and all those sorts of things. And I thought it was a great summer read. So this was a fantastic start to my June. So I read that one, and I'm going to use that on the Summer Book Bingo card for new to me author, because I've never read anything by William Barrett. So that was a great one. And then I read this, and I was so surprised at how much I enjoyed this. I mentioned this one, I think, in my last video, but it's called Thimble Summer by Elizabeth Enright. And it was a Newbery winner, so that's why I read it. But I did not realize I would love it so much. This was a fantastic start for the summer as well. It is about, it starts out, the young girl is, I think her name's Garnet. Garnet is just they're having a dry summer in the countryside, and she is wishing for rain, and she finds this silver thimble. I think it's her brother. I think she's out with her brother. They're just, one of those lazy summer days. It's a hot summer day, and they're out somewhere, and she just finds this silver thimble, and she's like, wow, this is a treasure. It must be like a good luck charm. And so she takes the silver thimble home, and that night it actually rained. So she's convinced that the thimble is a good luck charm. But the rest of the story is really not about the thimble, and that's what I thought it was going to be. It's more about just slice of life stories, but it's a lot of little episodes in the different characters within her community. Like one of the neighbors has this grandmother who shares a story from her childhood about this coral bracelet that was a fantastic story. She ends up riding to town with this couple, and they share a story, and then a friend of the family shares a story. So it's all these fun little snippets of stories about just different things that have happened to these characters that made it an interesting read. But I think the best part for me, and the reason I loved it for the summer, was I could relate to this girl during the summertime because she lives out in the country. It's just a simple summer for a kid, and I remember those summers. I remember it being so hot. There's a scene where she describes it's so hot that even the the sheet, the cotton sheet, just, she doesn't even want it to touch her skin when she goes to bed that night. And I remember those times when it would be so hot. Mama wouldn't even turn on the air conditioner at our house until August. It was the dog days of summer before she'd ever even turn on an air conditioner. So I remember those hot days like that. I remember it being you know, super hot, and we'd be outside and trying to find something to do, and we'd, you know, you had to be creative with finding things to do. And so it just brought back a lot of those memories of my own childhood during the summertime. So I really loved that about it. There is one scene in here of a county fair that kind of reminded me of Charlotte's Web a little bit. So it's just a fun one, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that it really did deserve a Newbery. I highly recommend it if you do like middle grade and you're looking for something to read to kick off the summer. This is a great place to start. And then I also read The Silver Chair by C.S. Lewis. This is in the Chronicles of Narnia series. I'm not going to talk too much about it because this is at the end of the series. My son and I are buddy reading this one, but this was a 5-star. I loved The Silver Chair. This one, the children go into sort of an underworld, and I really like the way that was described. There is another witch in this one. Again, I can't say too much, but there's one character that was introduced in this one named Puddleglum. He was a fantastic character. He added a lot to the story. Again, all those Narnia sort of elements are in this one, and I enjoyed that. So that is my buddy read for the Summer Book Bingo. That's one of the prompts on there. Oh, and for Thimble Summer, I used this for the middle grade prompt on the Summer Book Bingo card. And then I was so proud of myself because I read The Tempest by William Shakespeare. I am trying to read through the Shakespeare plays, and so I decided to read The Tempest. And I will say too that one of the main reasons I chose this one because Rainey from Rainy Day Reads, I think she said this was her favorite. So I decided, okay, if Rainey likes it, I probably will too. And so I read it because of that. So thank you, Rainey, for mentioning that. I think you mentioned that when you did the Shakespeare, I think September or something, whatever that readathon was. And so I've had that in the back of my mind. So I picked this one up. And it also has water on the cover. One of the prompts was water on the cover. So I thought I could use that for that, to fulfill that prompt, because he looks like water. So I'm going to use this one to fulfill water on the cover on my Summer Book Bingo card. But I enjoyed this. I thought that it was going to be a lot more difficult to read, and it was not. It was not hard at all. Now, I do have another translation, one of those No Fear Shakespeare's. So as I'm reading, if I have trouble, I can always look to it. But I find that they're not as hard so far as I thought they would be. So I'm pleasantly surprised in the reading. Again, it's not very long because it's a play. It took me about a week to read. I just kind of read a scene a day. I enjoyed it, but I will say I did like Hamlet better. And the reason is this one, the ending for me was just, it fell flat. I thought that there should have been something else at the end. I was enjoying it all the way until the last part. I can't say what happens, but it's just like it ends. It was an enjoyable read, and I do look forward to reading more, but again, the ending for me just fell a little flat. So I read that one, and I was super proud of myself for reading a Shakespeare. And I also read that for the ANCIENTSATHON. I had chosen The Tempest and the Odyssey. So now I have read The Tempest, and I will move on to something much more challenging, the Odyssey for the ANCIENTSATHON. Then I read The Goose Girl by Shannon Hale. Is it Hale? I guess is how you say your last name. I had chosen this one because it's fantasy. There's water on the cover. And I don't know if this is YA or middle grade, but to me it read more as a middle grade sort of book. I loved this. I thought it was exciting. I thought it was a page turner. It has all those fairy tale elements that I enjoyed. This is a retelling of the Grimm's fairy tale, and I love Grimm's fairy tales, so I enjoyed that about it. There is a young girl who is a princess in this one, and I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but she goes on this journey. Someone tries to basically steal her throne, the rights to her throne. So that's what's going on in the story. I like her character. I thought she was a strong female character in the story. I like that about it. This story was my second Shannon Hale. I had read A Book of 1,000 Days. I really loved that one, and so that's why I wanted to read more. Now, I did enjoy A Book of 1,000 Days a little bit more than I enjoyed this one. I gave this one 4 stars, where A Book of 1,000 Days was a definite 5-star read for me. But because of the way she writes and the way she just keeps you really immersed in the story, the way she describes the scenes in the story, and she writes just really a page turner. I will be reading more Shannon Hale. If you've read any others that you think I would like, let me know, because I've only read, as I said, A Book of 1,000 Days and then The Goose Girl. But this one was really good and I enjoyed it. And so I do look forward to picking up more by Shannon Hale. And let me know if that's how you say her name, because I'm not sure. So I used that for fantasy. That was for the summer book bingo. I used it for the fantasy prompt. So those are the books that I have read so far, and I think that's great, because that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I've already read 5 books for June, and so I'm really excited about that. Now I plan on picking up My Family and Other Animals. I cannot wait to read this one. If you follow my channel, you know I received this for my birthday last month, so I'm chomping at the bit to get to this. I know it's going to be a fun summer read. And I also pulled out my bookmark that I received for my birthday. I thought that would be perfect to go with this book. There's actually a little puppy right there on the book, and I thought, oh yes, I'm such a nerd when it comes to these things, and I love special bookmarks for special books, so I thought they would go well together. So I plan on starting that one this week, hopefully tomorrow, and then I also will be we will have our buddy read for A Town Like Alice. We'll kick that off this week as well. So I'll be reading this one, and I think this will actually fulfill the prompt Journey, I think, on my summer book bingo card. So I'll be reading this, and drum roll please, I will begin the Odyssey. We'll see how this goes. If you have any suggestions, advice on the best way to read the Odyssey. I heard that this was the best translation to read. That's what I have, so that's what we're going with. But I'm going to try to start the Odyssey. Again, as I mentioned in a previous video, I'm going to take this slow. I probably won't finish the Odyssey in June, but I'm going to at least start. This week, I will be picking this up and attempting to start it. There's one thing, though, that I have trouble with, and leave a comment if you have this same issue. A lot of times in these books, there will be an introduction. And in the past, I would read the introduction, but it would spoil things for me, so, especially in the Penguin Classics. I don't know why. But in those Penguin Classics, oftentimes in the introduction, they share the main things that happen in the story. And so it spoils the story for me. So I have actually stopped reading the introductions, because and then I just go back if I want to read the introduction and read it later. But I don't want the book spoiled for me if I don't know anything about it. So this has an introduction, and I'm debating on whether or not to read it, because is it going to spoil the story for me? Because I really don't know much about the Odyssey. I know everybody else on the planet does, but I don't. And if it's going to spoil something, then I don't want to read that. Should I read that introduction? Have you read the introduction to this? Or should I skip it? I'm thinking I might just skip it. So let me know in the comments what you think. So those are the books that I have read already in June, and those are the books that I plan on starting this week. What are you reading in June? Are you participating in these readathons? What is your favorite type of summer read? Let me know that in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.